Well, hey there. Welcome to the channel where you find love, laughs, and DIYs. Let me introduce myself. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I am tickled pink that you're here today. Hey, once you start watching this channel, you are part of our family. So I hope that you'll click that little red subscribe button so you don't miss any of our episodes. Today I have part 2 of my fresh vintage spring decor. It's beautiful French farmhouse with Easter and spring vibes. So let's just spend some time together, forget our worries, and share some love, laughs, and DIYs. I bought this picture from a thrift store for $5, and it's a 20 by 30. Now, I want to make something out of it, but look how dirty and dingy this thing is. So the first thing that I wanted to do is get it cleaned up, and I gave it 2 coats of my Rust-Oleum 2x spray paint in the matte white. And Kitty Nala decided to take a break from terrorizing my chickens for a minute. Now back inside, while my spray paint is drying, I cut me a pretty good size of drop cloth off, just regular old drop cloth, and I'm going to measure out the backing of that picture frame. The opening that the picture that I need is a 12 by 15, and I just cut a random piece. I didn't even measure this. I just kind of made sure it's going to wrap around it the way I need it to. And I just glued all 4 corners on the back. I just used that piece of cardboard that came in the frame in the first place. I'm not really paying special attention to make sure that this looks beautiful on the back because number 1, this is covered up, and number 2, it's just going in my house anyway. Now there was just a little bit of extra overhang, and just to make it easier to put back in the frame, I just kind of cut that off because all you need is just it wrapped around, and you got to wrap around it pretty tightly to make sure that the front is taut and looks good. Now, after I got it cleaned up and spray painted 2 times, look how pretty this is. It turned out so nice. So I flipped it over to the back, and I'm just going to lay that piece right back down in there. I'm not putting the glass back in there because that's the style. We don't want the glass in there. And then I put that last backing piece on, and it was screwed on, so I just screw everything back in the way that it's supposed to go. I had so many people interested in my sublimation prints last week. I'm going to show you another way to use it. Look at this beautiful bunny picture. All right, what you're going to do is just lay your picture down face first. You're going to take your heat-resistant tape. Now, last time I did this, I forgot to put down my tape, so you don't necessarily have to have the tape. You just have to be careful that you don't move your picture around while you are using your press. So you put your tape down and you put your wax paper down. Then you just press it on 400 degrees for 60 seconds. Now, a regular household iron will not get hot enough to heat a sublimated print up, so I just want to let you guys know that. I definitely don't want anybody to go to my Etsy store and buy a print and then be mad at me because I forgot to tell you. But these are available in my Etsy store at Kathy's Crafty Boutique. And whoa, look how beautiful this turned out. I'm doing a happy dance. I always get so excited when I pull that iron back and see how beautiful the sublimation is. So I take my Waverly's Antique Wax, and I'm just going to distress this a little bit because it was just too stark white for me. I like the vintage look, and I want it to have a little bit of distressing to it. I'm a farmhouse girl most of the time, so I just went around, and this had these beautiful like little divots all in the frame. So the high points just grabbed that antique wax so beautifully, and it distressed so perfectly, guys. It was gorgeous. And then after it's dry, I always go back over it with the white paint again, very, very lightly. I use my white Adirondack by Home Decor, and I just go over it, like I said, very lightly. And I just like the way it looks. It gives it a more naturally worn appearance. I'm going to take 4 of these little half beads that I have, and I just painted them with the antique wax and just lightly wiped it off with a baby wipe. And we're going to take those and put those one on each corner of the picture because I just thought it gave it a little something extra, and I'm kind of extra. Once I get started on my projects, I keep thinking, but what if I do this? Well, what if I do that? And I keep adding and adding. But wait till you see the very last thing I add on this. I love to use the totally dazzled jewels to finish up a lot of my projects, and this is no different. It gives it a 3D effect, and I have them linked down below just in case you guys want some. I really enjoy using them because they're not expensive at all, and they make everything pop. Now, anything that I mention in my videos, I always put in the description box below. That way, it will be super easy for you guys to find it. I miss you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances. Let me know what you think about this sublimation project and the print. I think it's beautiful. For me, that little bow in her hair just does it. I think that's the cutest thing ever. Have I mentioned yet that I would love to have you in my family and have your support here on YouTube? All you have to do is just hit that little red subscribe button and you're in. And there's a bell beside it, and when you ring it, YouTube's going to let you know every time I upload a video. And don't forget to give me a big thumbs up because it really helps support my channel. And I love you and thank you. Today I am hosting, along with 2 of my sisters, a spring fling. We've got Crafts with Ash, DIY, and Decor, and then my other sister, Crafted by Corey. And all 3 of us are hosts in this little spring fling. We just wanted to kick off a quick little spring DIY session to get everybody tickled about it and excited about it. And I know you guys are waiting on spring because I am setting on go, and I know you are too. So listen, now I have all of their information in the description box below. So when you're finished with this video, if you will, go down and please check out Crafts with Ash and then Crafted by Corey. And both of them would love to know that I sent you. Now let's jump into our next DIY. I picked up this floral arrangement pot, I guess you could call it, from the Goodwill. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but I really like the color that's already on it, and I like the way that it looks crackled, and it already looks distressed, but there was a couple little spots that I just needed to touch up, and it's brown, so I just used my Waverly's antique wax to touch those little spots up. Now, since it's springtime and we're wanting to do light, you know, this is kind of dark for spring. So what we're going to do is use the DIY wax, the Debbie's DIY wax, and we're going to lighten it down and soften it up. And what I did was just brushed this all over, and it doesn't take much of this wax. It takes very, very little, and it's so buttery and soft. It goes on great. I'll leave it on for about 1 hour. Leave it alone, and then I just use like a napkin and wipe most of it off, and it just gives it a softer tone and just very, I don't know, feminine, Victorian, vintage, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. And also, I'm going to use a gorgeous transfer on this that has yellow in it, so I thought it would really bring that out. So as you see, I'm just lightly wiping it off. You don't have to go hard with it, but if there's a spot that you want a little bit more of the wax off, I just kind of wet the end of my paper towel. No big deal. This stuff is super easy to use. I take my transfer, and it's my little birdies from last week. Do you remember that I told you in my IOD transfers, I had this long line of birds. There was like 10 or 12 birds, and there's 2 pages of it. So I only needed a couple birds to go on this, and I needed that yellow in that flower pot to go with the yellow on my little birdie's breast. And I thought, man, this is going to look good. So I laid it down, and you get it exactly where you want it. And if you need to scoot it around a little bit, it's not going to stick like the Dollar Tree ones do. You know, right as soon as you lay them down, you're done. But with this one, it's not really like that. You lay it down, get it where you want it, and then you get your little scratchy tool, I call it. It's a little tool that they send you, and you're just going to kind of scrape it, and your beautiful birds are going to come off on there. I have found if you hold the edge of the transfer up while you're scraping that area, it helps it to stick so much better, and it just makes it easier. The sisters that own the company say it's like riding a wave, and I mean, that's the only way that I can describe it. That is what it feels like, and it makes it so much easier to come off the way that you want it to. Then you just take that little piece of plastic that the transfer was on and you rub it around like it's called burnishing it. And it's like basically just pushing it down and making sure that it's going to stick real good. Now this is what it looks like so far. I've got some eucalyptus that comes from Walmart, the 97-cent kind. And I also had like a garland of eucalyptus that I got from, I want to say it was maybe like TJ Maxx or somewhere like that. But anyways, I just cut it up into pieces, and I'm going to use that too. I always put my tallest pieces in the middle, and then I try to put on one side, whatever I put on one side, I try to put the exact same thing on the other side. Like, see, for example, this piece of eucalyptus kind of flops over, like falls over, and that's what I want. And so I did that on the exact opposite side and try to match the sizes so that they look, you know, what's the word? So they look the same. I may be from Tennessee, but I do know what proportional means, and that's what I meant to say, okay, I promise. Now, I just have a few little twigs, and honestly, I don't know what these are. They just came from the thrift store, and then the one that I'm cutting right now came from the Dollar Tree, and I just kind of add a little bit here and there. If it's a taller stem, I put it in the middle. I always like to try to put about 3 different types of greenery in my plants because to me, I think it looks better. It looks more natural. Now, this one was called a silver green eucalyptus. It was from the Dollar Tree. It don't matter because I decided not to use it anyway. I didn't really like it that much. And at this point, I was trying to figure out what I was going to put in here. Now, everything else that I did today is lavender because lavender is going to be the color of spring. I'm just telling y'all, all the magazines and decor stuff is saying lavender this and lavender that, which I like it. It's great. So we're going to go with lavender too. So now I'm going to try to rock the boat just a little bit. I'm going to use some marigolds that I got from the Dollar Tree in the fall. And it's kind of a cream color. So I'm just going to add a couple of those in there. I didn't want to do white. I'm more of a cream color kind of girl instead of a stark white. So I just put about 4 of those in there. And I put one on one side and one on that opposite side. I just kind of eyeball it, see what I think's going to look good. And then off camera, once I kept looking at this thing and thinking, okay, I'm just going to do it. And so I had 4 little pieces of lavender that I stuck in here, and you will see them in the pictures, but I didn't record myself doing it, and I'm sorry. But you can see I didn't really stick them in any big form or fashion. They're just 1, 2, 3, 4 across the middle. And hey, guys, this is adorable. And it was it was very easy and quick. And honestly, I know that there was nothing purple on the front of this flower vase or anything like that, but I don't like my stuff to be matchy-matchy. To me, and this is my personal preference, I find if you add a little bit of variation, to me, I think it looks better. All right, let's go into number 3. I've got 4 flower pots that I got from Discovery Outlet for just $2.99, and I had previously painted them. And I made these little stencils off of my Cricut. I just used the stencil vinyl, and I always try to go with easy things like just the outline of a bunny, because if I go with small intricate details, the Cricut don't like me very much when I do that. But now with my one little bunny, he does have little flowers all in him, and he turned out cute. Now, I had previously painted these pots with baking soda and chalk paint. I do 1-to-1 ratio. And what I mean by that is if I use 1 teaspoon of paint, I use 1 teaspoon of baking soda, the exact same equivalents. And I just kind of pack it on with my brush. But since I had already painted those, I just wanted to let you know. And so we're going to put our little stencil on. And I wanted them to go in like on the biggest one and the third biggest one because these go in size, like they step down in sizes. So on the blue pot, I put just the outline of the bunny. And since the paint was so thick and it was so textured, it was really hard to get this vinyl to stick to it. It didn't want to stick to it. And I thought, oh, that's not very good because, you know, if you've ever done a stencil before, you definitely want the edges of your stencil to be stuck down good because if not, that paint will sneak down under there. And before you know it, it will bite you in the bottom and you'll be like, oh, no, I didn't see it coming. So I just pushed down really, really well all around the edges of my little bunny rabbit. And I thought, you gonna work, buddy. I'm gonna make you work. And so I took my other little bunny rabbit, the one that had all the little flowers on him. And he is adorable. And I'm kind of surprised that he turned out as cute as he did. So I put him on my little pink pot. I'm just going to use the Waverly Ink Chalk Paint, which is their black color, and I got a stencil brush from Jamie Ray Vintage, and so I'm going to try this stencil brush out, and all you do is pounce. Now, since these didn't want to stick too good, I was kind of careful around the edges. I took my time to make sure that I didn't let that thing bleed underneath there, because there's nothing worse than pulling off a stencil and being all excited, and it just looks like a big old blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's nothing. It's shapeless. And you're just like, really? It just breaks my heart every time. But look how cute he turned out. Oh, it makes me want another little bunny rabbit for just a brief moment. But you know what? I have my little pug, Sabby. I have a cat that came from the Humane Society, and she just gives all kinds of terror to my poor chickens, my little hens, my baby girls. And I'm just telling y'all right now, she's going to be something else this spring because I have rose bushes all around my pool. And we probably had about 10 birds with nests out here, and we got to watch the babies hatch. We even got to watch them fly away from their mamas, and look how beautiful this is. But anyways, I just know she's going to be a terror. Now, I was real simple at the way that I decorated these. I put some tissue paper down inside of them, and the reason why I did that is so I wouldn't have to use so much of the moss and the Spanish grass. I used a combination of both, by the way. Now, I get mine from the Dollar Tree, which reminds me, if you'll look at the bottom right of the screen, I took a couple of those small eggs from the Dollar Tree, and I used my baking soda and paint mixture because they had big specks of glitter on them, and I wanted to cover it up, so I just painted them with that. Now, I've got this little bird that I got at Dollar General last year, and I painted her white and distressed her, and I'm going to set her on top of one of the nests. I even stuck one or two little twigs in there to make the nest look authentic. I stuck the bird in top of the flower pot that did not have the stencil on it. And then I took the other one that didn't have the stencil on it, which is the cream colored one. And I'm going to do the exact same thing, except for on the top of it, I'm going to place one of the little bunny rabbits that comes from the Dollar Tree. And I also painted him that same way with the chalk paint and baking soda. Now, the two pots that do have the stencils on them, I wanted them to be just a little bit different. And I tried out a couple flowers, but of course I went back to the lavender. So I just put one or two little sprigs of some type of greenery in there and one or two little sprigs of the lavender. And I literally pulled the lavender off of the little stem. It's the lavender that comes from the Walmart, the 97-cent lavender. I pulled it off the stem and popped a couple of them in each of those little pots. And these are adorable. And I've got this beautiful little strand of pearls. Remember when I told you that when I start on a DIY, I just keep on and can't stop? Okay, well, this was one of those. I just cut the pearls in just a couple of small pieces and kind of wrapped it around the front of each pot. One of my sweet subscribers sent me these pearls, and they had these perfect little sticky backs on them, which made them easy to just stick to the cup. I started sticking my little eggs in a couple of these pots and realized I did not put specks on my eggs, so I'm going to have to do that. But first, I took a little bit of jute twine and just tied it around twice around the top and just tied a double knot up there, nothing special, and I just kind of made like the ends of it kind of frilly and pretty. Then I got some black paint on the end of that stencil brush, only because it was already wet and I didn't want to get another one dirty. And I just kind of flicked it off of my finger, and that's how I get my little specks on my eggs. And then I added those to my pots.
Young, and we didn't want to be exposed. Even though it was cold, we were never wearing proper clothes. Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, smoking cigarettes behind the school. Always trying to be cool, trying to be those bad guys, you know. I still think about what we had when we were young.
All right, our last DIY is a really quick one. I have this little bunny, and this bunny was in my video last week. He's just a little paper mache bunny that I got from a thrift store. He actually still has the tag on him, and I use him when I'm staging my pictures. So I wanted to do something with him because he looks a little sick to me. I don't know, and he's got this big hole in the side of his bottom. Not really a big hole, but just like a little, cut, a little scratch. We got to fix him up. So I paid $2.99 for him. I took him outside and I gave him 2 coats of the satin spray paint. It's the Rust-Oleum 2 times, and it was called Smoky Beige. He won't be for selling my booth, but I'm just going to updo him so he don't look so sickly on us. So what I did was take that thin ribbon, that's the lace from Dollar Tree. It's my favorite ribbon that they have. And I'm simply going to wrap it around his neck one time and glue it off. Then I took 4 of those little sprigs of lavender. I laid them together, and I'm just going to tie a knot around those with my jute twine. And then I glued that right at the side of his neck. Then I took one of the little roses from Sola Wood Flowers, and I just left it the color that it is because it's kind of like a cream color. I snipped the end of it off, and we're just going to glue it right on the end where all the lavender meet. And one of my precious subscribers had sent me these little keys last year from Tim Holtz, and it says secret on it. And the reason why I picked that one that said secret on it is because it's like a secret that he's the Easter Bunny. And I don't know, I just thought that was cute. I pay attention to every single detail, y'all. I cannot help myself. So all I did was just tie that around his little neck. And I got this tray at the thrift store. I think it was like $2.99. I took it outside and gave it a coat of the matte white by Rust-Oleum 2 times. Of course, if you've been around my channel long, you know that that's my favorite spray paint is the Rust-Oleum 2 times. And I'm just going to take some of the mineral colored chalk paint by Waverly and just run it over it real quick and distress it. At my Walmart, the shelves are like completely bare in the spray paint area, and I'm just wondering, across the country, is it like that everywhere? You guys leave me a comment and let me know if you've noticed that your Walmarts are really running low on spray paint. I don't understand why that is. Okay, the outside of this has some really pretty leaves, and I just want to go over that really good with the distressing brush so you can see that beautiful detail. Then here's where I took that garland that I got from TJ Maxx or wherever it was and just kind of cut it up. I think it was probably about 5 feet long when it started, or 4 feet. I cut it into a couple of bigger pieces, and my plan for this bunny is really simple. I also have different types of greenery because you know I told you I like to use all different types of greenery when I'm doing anything floral. So what we're going to do is get our little tray and we're just going to we're going to set our bunny in there first. And then we're going to just start setting this greenery all around him. I got this idea off of Pinterest. I thought it was so cute. It was a little bunny in a round tray. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to stick my bunny in this tray and we're going to make it work and it's going to look good. And I just think it's adorable and it's just cute as it can be. So I had no rhyme or reason where I put the twigs. I just laid them kind of everywhere. And then I took some of those, that beautiful lavender that I've been talking about all through my video. And I just added some of the sprigs here and there. I pulled the actual sprigs off and laid that down everywhere. I'm really glad that lavender is going to be a very popular color this spring because I think it's beautiful and I love it in everything. I added some of that Spanish moss kind of here and there to make it look like he's really standing in a little field full of flowers and stuff. And I started seeing this little guy really coming to life. I took a little bit of the Waverly's antiquing wax and just kind of antiqued him up, just kind of here and there all over his little body. Then I took 2 ribbons. I took that little thin white lace one that I like so much from the Dollar Tree and laid it on top of one that looks like, kind of like burlap. And I just tied it in a figure 8 style bow. And I'm going to put this right in the front center of the little basket. I'm going to add another one of these little totally dazzled jewels. And it's a ribbon. And I'm going to stick it right in the center of my ribbon. Then as a final step, I just added some of those little eggs and a couple of those little roses from the Sola wood flowers. And this baby's done, and I think it's cute as a bug. Well, cute as a bunny. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. Hey, if you stuck around through this whole video, I just want to thank you. I appreciate each and every one of y'all so very much. And I love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. And go check out my 2 buddies, Corey and Ashley. And let them know that Crafty Kathy sent you. Are y'all ready for the bloopers? Because here they come.
Huh? Do what? Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, everybody. My name is Crafty Bobby Joe, and I am so glad that you came all this way to see me. I know yous don't come to see Kathy, but you come to see me. I was going to let yous know, the other day Buford told me he had cold feet, so I went and bought him a pair of socks. I bought the best ones that Walmart had, but now you listen to me what he did. The next night, my mama saw him out at the VFW with Sally Ann. He got mad at me because I got him the wrong socks, I guess. Now, the reason why all that made me mad is because, you know, we're supposed to be getting married on February 14th, on Valentine's Day, on account of nobody else has ever thought about getting married on Valentine's Day. So I don't know what's going to happen, guys. There still will be a wedding if I have to go and drag my groom to the altar or to the courthouse. That's what I'm going to do. So y'all come to Chattanooga, Tennessee on Valentine's Day, and you're going to see old Bobby Joe here get hitched. And then pretty soon, that old Hollywood agent will be calling me so I can be in that show. I love you guys. And I just think that the world of every one of you. You have to turn the curve there, bud. Keep your eyes on the road, Sam. Keep your eyes on the road. Don't wreck us. He's flying too. Nah, he's just looking at the ladies on the side of the road. He likes to drive in the dash. He said, quit being one of those backseat drivers, guys. Quit honking the horn. Those people think we're honking.
My power just went out, but I wanted to show you guys some of these beautiful decoupage papers that I got, which will be in my next video. Look how adorable these are. So yeah, my next video is going to be jam up. I'm so excited about these papers, y'all. Look at this. And not to mention, I got a whole bunch of Totally Dazzled in today, like tons of them. So yes, I'm very excited about that. Each one of these packages has like 10 in there, by the way, and they're only like $2. I mean, they're so cute to put on your different crafts and stuff. So anyways, love you guys.